ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ वर्स् 139 विस्मयैकशरीरायाः मायायाश्चोद्यरूपतः अन्वेषः परिहारोऽस्याः बुद्धिमद्भिः प्रयत्नतः. So, well, in the previous verse, we said, Vidyaranya said, Chodyam Pariharyam. So, you should answer my question. Basically, Advaitin is saying, so which is directed towards you by word Maya. And so, you asked me the questions, a series of questions, in fact, regarding the creation, regarding the cause of creation, regarding purpose of creation, time of creation, duration of creation. Several questions are there. That's correct. Well, all these questions you are targeting those questions to me, but my single word, which is not a reply or answer, rather, which is another question, and that is the word Maya. And well, and so, and that the meaning of that Maya, which is a question, is this: is there a world or not? That's a question. And first, we have to definitely inquire. If there is a world, then there is a cause. If there is a world, there is a purpose. If there is a world, there is a duration. If there is a world, then in specific time it has got created, etc. All these things. Well, we will have to definitely try to find out later. But I am putting a question, that is there a world or not? And well, he's explaining that part in this verse 139 which is a commentary upon this previous verse of second line. Maya Rupam Chodyam Pariharyam, right? Which is there in 138. Well, that is answered here. That is more explained here in verse 139. So, Mayayaha Chodya Rupataha. Mayayaha. Well, basically this word Maya I have introduced is Vismay Eka Sharirayaha. It's a Vismaya. Eka Sharirayaha. Vismay Eka Sharirayaha means his body or Maya by nature. Well, basically it's just a Vismaya. Is of the nature of wonder, and wonder is, well, which stunts our intellect, is called wonder, which is, in presence of which, well, our intellect becomes non-functional. That is the very nature of Maya, and such a Maya which is a wonder, Chodya Rupataha, means it is in the form of a question mark regarding the world. So, and whether the world is, Sat, whether the world is Asat, whether the world is Sat, Asat, etc. All these questions will be raised by the word Maya. So, and world cannot be called Sat, world cannot be called Asat, world cannot be called Sadasat. Will not be able to say anything regarding that. And whether it is world is identical to Brahman, world is independent of Brahman, world is basically, it is located in Brahman, etc. So many questions. Whether it is, even in this Abhinnam, world is non-separate from this Brahman. See, non-separate means what? that question definitely arise. Non-separate means they like, these two things are, non-separate from each other. Or one of the thing is non-separate from other. Then if it is non-separate, then, certain certain limbs are they have connection, they are connected. And that connection will be, let's say, permanent. Is it that kind of a non-separation? Then we definitely say, well, how the ornament is non-separate from the gold. So that's how it is. So basically this is, so non-separate also creates a problem. And therefore basically this all questions will come when you say regarding man, whether it is sat, asat, sadasat, etc., etc. Then all this savayam, niravayam, all these problems will arise. So we cannot say any of this thing. So that is what it means. It cannot be put in any particular category. So any questions which you ask regarding this Maya, it is basically a wonder. Chodya rupata. Chodya means, I told you, question. Chodya rupata. Rupam means sarupam. Maya is of the nature of question rather than it's a answer. Therefore, so because it is in the form of a question mark, and therefore since it is in the form of a question mark, asyaha mayayaha pariharyaha anveshyaha. And therefore you should always try to find an answer to that question regarding the very existence of the world. Whether the world is there or not itself, that's a, well, regarding that you should find an answer. When I say Maya, that's a, Maya is a question. And why should question? Suppose, well, why should you put a question to me? That's a question, right? Why anybody should put a question to the Advaitin regarding the creation? Other than Vedantin, all the philosophers have an assumption, or they have taken for granted that there is a world. And therefore, well, definitely when they put a question to the, when they consider that there is a world, and then they bring a series of questions, cause of the world and etc., etc., all these things, duration of the world, etc., or the purpose of the world, all this creation, etc., all these questions you are putting us. And therefore, well, we want to basically question the very assumption, and therefore we say word Maya, which is our question to you. And even I gave you an example, of a rope snake, etc. In a semi-darkness, it's a very big rope, and it has a certain sharp edge, at one point, and the person puts a leg on it, and he got hurt, and the blood comes out, and well, but semi-darkness, and he thought it is snake, and so he screamed and ran, and came to the village, and then his parents are also got so scared and all. So they called some person who was chanting that Garuda mantra, so and then somebody came and said, no, let's take him to the doctor, etc. Otherwise poison will spread in the body, person will die, etc. But then what kind of a snake we should know? Accordingly, we should give him medicine, antivenom injection, etc. All these things, several possibilities. But then one person was intelligent. He told we should first know whether there was a snake or not, And then they inquired, they found it was a rope which has a sharp edge. Anyway, what I'm saying is this kind of Advaitin is like this. Advaitin is a very intelligent person. And all other villagers were not that intelligent. All the philosophers, all means all. What about the Buddhists who say world is shunyam? That they are also wrong. World is not shunyam. World is not shunyam. That's what yesterday some people were stunned. World is not there, world is not there, world is not. So you should not, we are not Buddhist, nihilist. There is no world. Sarvam shunyam, sarvam shunyam. It's not shunyam. It is not shunyam, and then it is not satyam also. It is in between. That's how it is. So, well, the whole thing is going to come now. Explanation of word Maya and all that, And because the Purupakshi he has no more enthusiasm to basically, to fight with the Advaitin. And so, well, he will come to that compromise level. In the next verse we'll see that. Anyway, so basically this is a very basic question. Very basic question has to be asked. And that's how here it has been told buddhimat bihi. By the intelligent people, anveshyaha. This inquiry has to be done. Asyaha pariharaha anveshyam. Pariharaha anveshyah. Parihara means an answer. Parihara means answer, remedy. Asyaha, mayayaha, which is a question of a Advaitin to all of philosophers in the world. Well, asyaha pariharaha anveshyavyaha buddhimat bihi. And definitely, the intelligent people should definitely understood that Maya is not an answer of the Advaitin, but Maya is a question of an Advaitin, and they have to put efforts, prayatnataha. So then they have to put the efforts in order to find out a answer and drop the conclusion that there is a world. So prayatnataha, you can say here with appropriate effort, and appropriate effort means using appropriate pramana. That's all. Appropriate pramana. Because you see, Maya is basically perceptible. It's a matter of experience, right? We have seen Pratyaksha Pramana proves that there is a Maya. And there is a world, matlab. There is a world. And definitely Shruti says there is no world at all. There is no Maya. Let's say there is no world here. Ultimately we know Maya is a world, but here answering to these people, let's say there is no world. Shruti says there is no world, there is Brahman. And therefore, basically even perceptually rather, you prove that there is a world, but we have to take into account the other pramana, which is a better pramana for arriving at the nature of the world, etc., cause of the world, etc. And for that, Shruti pramana has to be used. Simply using Pratyaksha and Anumana pramana, then definitely you will have that conclusion that there is a world. The world is real. And so, so if you want to know the very existence of the world or the origin of the world, then a proper pramana has to be used, and that is not Pratyaksha, definitely. But another Prabal pramana is there, another Moola pramana is there, which is Shastra pramana, that has to be used. And when you use it, you will feel something else. Shoshanam bhavasindoscha jnapanam sara sampadaha. Right? Shoshanam bhavasindoscha. Bhavasindoho shoshanam bhavet. So basically in Guru Stotram. So bhavasindoho. So bhavasindo means this whole samsara sagara, definitely gets dry up. Whole samsara gets dry up. Because it is made up of mirage water. The world which we call it as a samsara sagara, right, gets dry up. Because it's a mirage water. How do you evacuate mirage water? They say. How do you evacuate? Which pump should you use for evacuating mirage water? So, you remove this mirage water by samyak darshanam, by appropriate darshanam, which is given by pramana called Shastra. So, and this has been told in Upadesha Sahasri, in Tattvamasi Prakaranam, etc. So anyway, when you see properly, so you don't have water to be dried up, you don't have the world to be handled, because it is no more there. It is no more there means something else is there. When I say there is no snake, something else is there, which you cannot negate further. What you negate, and definitely it is mithya, but then what you find as adhishthanam of that snake, which you cannot negate. And so there is no world means something else is there, because it is mithya, and therefore definitely it has adhishthanam, and mithya is a non-separate from the satyam, and therefore there is no world. There is Brahman. That's how people say, this Vedantins are mithyavadi. We are not mithyavadi. We are Brahmavadi. The people who have a negative approach, they always look like this. They always argue like this. These people are mithyavadi. We are not mithyavadi. We are satyavadi. That is Brahmavadi. Because that is what Upanishad says. Upanishad does not say that there is no world. It says there is Brahman. And thereby we say there is no world. Could you follow what I am saying? It is when it says, Mundaka Upanishad says that, basically that, ahameva amritam purastad, amritam paschat, etc., means Brahman, basically. So I am alone there in the front and in the back and on the side and on the left hand side and right hand side, on the above and below and all that. Everywhere there is Brahman, Brahma eva tat purastad, etc. Brahma eva now uttarasya dakshinena, etc. etc. All this has been told in Mundaka Upanishad, right? So thereby we say that, well, Shruti, Shastra Pramana negates the world. Thereby we say. Shruti is not negating like this, basically. Shruti wants to arrive at the truth. And therefore, what you consider as a truth has to be negated. Under the spell of ignorance, you take something else as a truth. And that is negated. That's all the job is. Shruti is no more interested in negation. No, Shruti always in the form of negation. There are two types of basically sentences. You know, for Brahma Lakshanam, definition of Brahman are of two types. That is also superficially, honestly speaking. Like there are certain there are certain definitions of Brahman or Atma, which we can say, well, it is a affirmative, Videyatmakam Lakshanam. Videyatmakam Lakshanam means, well, it is in the form of like Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Now you won't find superficially there is negation. You don't find that. Satyam Jnanam. Brahman is basically Satyam, Brahman is a consciousness, and Brahman is eternal, etc., etc., and Anantam, limitless. So you don't find apparently the negation in that Lakshanam of Brahman. But then there are certain other definitions which really in the form of negation. And Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, etc., or Mundaka Upanishad, Adreshyam, Agrahyam, Achakshushrotram, Tadapanipadam, or else in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad based basically, Asthulam, Ananuhu, Arasvam, Adirgam, Achayam, Alohitam, Anakasham, etc., etc. So these are all. When A is there, that A particle which has been put in, before the word, it's there, it is in the sense of negation. Asthulam. So Brahman is not Sthulam, Brahman is not Rasvam, Brahman is not Dirgham, not gross, not subtle, not long, not short, all this. So that kind of a definition is called Nishedhatmakam Lakshanam. There are two types of definition superficially. Superficially, please understand. Because even Satyam Jnanam Anantam we have to negate. Yeah. So Satyam, Brahma, there also negation is there. Anyway, what you consider as a Satyam is not Satyam. Okay? That has been told there. Brahman is Satyam is which cannot be negated. For that's true. But then what you consider as a Satyam right now, well, that is negated there. For you, what you experience, you consider Satyam. What you experience, you consider Satyam. What you experience, you say it is existent. And you won't have that kind of a long thinking, a very deep thinking regarding this thing. Well, that even though it is existent right now, but it is seemingly existent. That kind of idea never comes to your mind. And that is why people are not able to digest this thing at all. People are not able to digest. The world is not there. World is mithya. World is seemingly existent. People are not able to digest. And only argument people have is this. I am seeing this solid world, and how can you negate? What you perceive is mithya. What you perceive is seemingly existent. What you perceive is seemingly existent. Every big thing, every big phenomena, and so-called thing which I am right now experiencing at this moment here, starting from sunrise to the blue sky and everything, intimate experience. To the intimate experience in terms of my whole life and my whole karmas, laukika, alaukika, all karmas are based on sunrise. All Sandhya Vandanam has to be done before sunrise. But where is sunrise? Where is sunrise? But nobody questions. What I want to say is my whole activity is based on the phenomena in the world. And because it's a very intimate experience. And what is intimately experienced, Vedanta comes or Vedantic teacher comes and negates. You are not able to swallow the teacher also. not only Vedanta. You are not able to stand that teacher who says that. Inside you may be feeling, what can I do to this person? But you can't do anything anyway. What I am saying is ultimately, so whole orientation is a wrong orientation. What I perceive is true. What I perceive exist. And if I add word seemingly exist, you are not ready. I'm telling you, you are not ready. In a class under the spell of a teacher, maybe some kind of a charisma, you may say, yeah. Once you come out and wear the chappal, etc., and then you say, this teacher also has, I think his screw has become a little loose, etc. So this is a criteria. And Vedanta says just opposite. What you perceive is seemingly existent. And because you perceive, so I am saying seemingly existent. Because what you perceive, what you experience is existent. That's what you are understanding. And well, that understanding under the spell of ignorance. I only add one adjective. Not even adjective, I should say. It's adverbial. It has adverbial force. What you see is existent. That's a wrong. What you see, perceive, experience is seemingly existent. That's all. Is seemingly existent. That is what Maya is. That's what Maya is. My Maya is putting a question to you. You think the world is. Well, so that's a question mark to your assumption that there is no world as such. Anyway, so so this is how. So basically, this world, I mean, Shoshanam Bhavasindoscha, I was talking about that anyway. So Shoshanam Bhavasindoscha. Bhavasindoho Shoshanam. Shoshanam means it got dry up. Bhavasindo means basically this world, Samsara Sagara, has been dry up. And for that, no pumps are required. Mere Samyak Darshanam. The Samyak Darshanam is appropriate vision one should have through Pramana. Pramana gives you vision. Pramana's job is to give you vision. Pramata cannot arrive at this. For Pramata, from birth on several births, from Anadikala, Pramata knows one thing, that the world is real. That's all. Because I experience. World is real because I experience. World is real because I experience. And that has become so rooted in you. Well, and Vedanta walks in your life and says, well, what you perceive, what you experience, well, it's not real. It's not real. And so, prayatnataha means, prayatna means here using a proper pramana, usage of pramana. There is no prayatna in terms of, jumping out or something. It is in terms of sitting down, having a cup of coffee and thinking properly. That's all it means. So, usage of a proper pramana, shastra pramana, that's called a effort here, proper effort, appropriate effort. And so, and who can do that? Buddhimat bihi. So Buddhimat, I have told you, the intelligent person, Buddhimat bihi, like, our Bhagavat bihi, etc. It's a tritiya, third case, and it's a plural. And Buddhimat bihi anveshya. Anveshya means should be inquired. And what? Pariharyaha anveshya. Pariharya means the remedy of this, my question, answer of my question, well, etc. has to be basically found out, has to be inquired into, etc. Let's go to verse 140. Maya tvameva nishcheyam ichitetar iti chetar hi nishchunu loka prasiddha mayayaha lakshanam yat tadikshatam. So here Purvapakshi says, well, I am willing to cooperate with you. Now he has come down because we have forcefully said so much. If you say forcefully, people will immediately swallow it. And therefore, how Purvapakshi says, okay, I am willing to cooperate now. And so you have introduced the Maya and you said Maya is not Sat. And I remember now the verse. Yeah. What is that verse? Na sadasit vibhavatatvat no sadasit cha badhanad. Vidyadrashtya shrutam tucham tasya nitya nivruttitah. It has come before. So Maya does not come, and just recently only it has come. So, na asadasit vibhatatvat, no sadasit badhanat. So this Maya does not come under Sat category. So na Sat asit. This Maya is not Sat. No means na u. Maya is not at all Sat. Na eva. U is equal to eva. It's used for emphasis. So it is not at all Sat. Why? Badhanat. Negated. Anyway, and na asat asit vibhatatvat, because it has been manifested and experienced, etc. So na asat, therefore it is not asat also. So I understood Maya does not come under Sat category. He is saying, Purapakshi, Maya does not come under a Sat category, you does not come under a Sadasat category, and then it comes under the fourth category. That's what you mean, Advaitin? So we said yes. So what is that? Sadasat Vilakshanam. What is this? What is this Sadasat Vilakshanam? That such a definition I am not able to grasp. And not only me, even my fellow beings, I mean the other people also around me, no one is able to grasp this Sadasat Vilakshanam. Ultimately we are going to say, I know that Maya means Sadasat Vilakshanam. But how can there be something which is Sadasat Vilakshanam? And so such a concept, Sadasat Vilakshanam, distinct from existent, non-existent. What is this? I am not able to grasp this concept at all. I am not able to swallow also. Vidyaranya says, well, initially, I mean, basically, earlier when I said you did not I did not understand it. Now, instead of questioning and arguing, if you are basically, if you are ready, I mean, if you have a willingness to cooperate and learn, I am willing to teach you what is this Sadasat Vilakshanam. And with appropriate example also, again I will give. So there are hundreds of cases wherein, things seem to exist and then even create problem for us also. But when you go and inquire into, well, it disappears. So in the first line it says here, in our this verse 140, Mayatvam eva nishchayam. Purapakshi asked this question. Mayatvam nishchayam. Eva. It means basically this, the very nature of this Maya, etc., that is Sadasat Vilakshanam, well, I have not clearly grasped. Nishchaya means it has to be ascertained. Means I have not grasped. It all appears for me a word play. You have basically, Advaitin, you have done a word play. You are not able to give a clear conceptual idea about the world. You have said Maya is Sadasat Vilakshanam, distinct from existent and non-existent, etc. Well, this is just a word play. There is nothing more than that. Shabdajalam Maharanyam Chitta Brahmanaka Karanam. So basically, Shabdajalam Maharanyam. It all appears to be a word play, and a word play cannot give the liberation. So, word cannot liberate. Let's talk about this. Word do not liberate. Meaning liberates, right? So Tattvamasi does not liberate actually. The meaning of Tattvamasi, that is what the meaning of the words, right? Tattvam and Asi liberates. So whenever we say Mahavakyam is a solution, basically we don't mean that regularly if we chant Tattvamasi, 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 well, that does not liberate us basically. So Tattvamasi, the meaning of the words basically liberates you. And so what liberate is not a word. So aim of Shishya should be first grasp the word, and thereafter he has to come to the meaning. He has to grasp the word, definitely. And so, that's correct that word does not liberate, meaning liberates, that is correct. And if then the big question arises is this. If word does not liberate, meaning alone liberates, then when Shishya was asking to a teacher, well, oh Swami, so why are you talking then? Because when you talk, you bring out thousands of words. It's a heap of words. So basically, you are talking to, basically to give me a moksha, to make me free from samsara. But basically, all words you take, you bring out. And therefore, why are you talking then? So then this Swami Chinmayanji used to give this, a example for that. Say then Guru actually, then explained. Because Shishya said like this, why are you talking? Ultimately, because the words do not liberate, meaning only liberates. Then why are you talking like that? If Shishya asks, then Guru is saying. This is an example given by Chinmayanji. Somebody was very thirsty. And then let's say the Guru wanted to teach a lesson. So Guru actually told the Shishya that, well, I am very thirsty and bring some water. And then Shishya brought some water. And then, then Guru said, well, that's correct, you have brought the water. But why did you bring this tumbler or glass along with? I asked you just water. Then Shishya was, Shishya was wondering. Until now, Guru was basically saying, but now suddenly how he became insane. So, he was asking this question. So, well, then, then he said, without container, how can I bring the water? No doubt, basically, water alone removes your thirst. Where Shishya explains to Guru, well, no doubt, water alone removes your thirst, but water cannot be brought directly and it requires a container. So, receive the water through the container, drink the water, and drop the container. That's all. And so, well, then Guru laughed and said, well, meaning is water. Okay? And I can never hand over the meaning to you without the container. Just as the water cannot be given without the container, I can never hand over the meaning to you without the container. And that is the word. And well, there is no other way. Unfortunately, there is no other way but to bring the water into the container and give it to you. And therefore, and you are also thirsty. You have come for that only. So you have a pipasa, jnana pipasa, jignasu. Very, very brilliant example given by Chinmayanji, And therefore, Guru has to helplessly hand over the meaning called water in the container called words. And therefore, Shishya's thirst, and when water is given by the Guru to the Shishya, suppose, then even though he is thirsty and his thirst is basically growing worse and worse, still he is playing with the container. Then, well, it is a foolishness, right? And so, similarly, teacher has to take classes. And teacher cannot do anything except taking classes also. And when teacher is using words, sending words, then they are not just empty tumblers or containers. Basically, teacher has kept some water in that. And therefore, meaning the teacher basically hopes the student will not play with the tumbler. And basically with the words, and the student will take the meaning and thereafter drop the words. So this was, therefore meaning liberates, that's correct. But the meaning, the water, is given to the thirsty person. Here there is a thirst of a liberation basically, or thirst of a knowledge. But so that has to be given through the container called words. So and not only the Shishya who is asking like this, gets an answer. When the Shishya gains knowledge and he will get a Shishya, well, definitely he will use the words only. So what can you do? So basically words are only are used, but you should take the meaning, the water for your thirst. So all in the parampara, everyone has to use the words. So student says, well, now here the student says, here for me this word, sadasat vilakshanam, is only a word. And the significance of the word, the meaning of the word, I don't know. I should know that. So Maya is a word, sadasat vilakshanam is a word, or mithya is a word, anirvachanam is a word, right? All have same meaning. And therefore these are the words. And basically my head is basically riddled with all such words rather than the meaning. And so in fact, basically my head is totally occupied with this. So it is so much occupied with the words now that there is no space for the meaning. Then we have to say better through the words. Better through the words. Don't even keep the synonyms. Instead of mithya, anirvachaniyam, sadasad vilakshanam, etc., several words are there. Keep one word, and that's enough. And understand the meaning and even through that word also. So if you have a place for both word and meaning, both, you keep. If you don't have a place, or if you want to choose one of them, better keep the meaning and be silent, throw the word silent. So this is how it is. So if you can keep the meaning and use the word, it is useful for both the speaker and listener. For both it is useful if we keep the meaning and the word. And definitely word will not liberate, but meaning only will liberate. But basically, a teacher has to use so many words to establish ultimately the subject matter here. Helpless. Teacher is helpless but to use the words because they are carrier of knowledge, container of knowledge. And so, like somebody gave an example. It's like a sugar cane. You press what comes out is that sweet juice. That's called jnanam. But that you have to bring that sugar cane, and once you extract the juice, then you throw out the rest. But so you are interested in us, even though this juice, but what you have to bring is basically the whole sugar cane. That's how it is. So word is called pramanam here basically. So every pramanam produces pramajanakam pramanam. And so here when the student is asking that yes, you said sadasat vilakshanam etc. or mithya, nirvachanim etc. Well, all these are words are riddled in my mind, and basically my head is filled with that. I don't know the meaning etc. And that's how he is asking. He is telling mayatvam eva nishchayam. Very word maya or this sadasat vilakshanam, they are existing in my mind only as a word. I have not grasped the meaning. This is said by Purvapaksha, student. Iti chet. Iti chet means Purvapaksha is over. Siddhanta is telling, if you are saying like this, he says to Purvapakshi, if you are saying like this, means what? If you are saying that, well, all these are words and you have grasped the words but not the meaning, if you are saying like this, tarhi nishchinu. Vedanti says, tarhi nishchu means you try to understand this. I will assist you in grasping the meaning of these words. Maya, sadasat vilakshanam, anirvachaniyam, mithya, all these words. Well, I will definitely help you to understand the meaning of these words. So, tarhi tvam nishchinu. May you ascertain, may you understand, clarify, absorb, etc. this meaning of these words. I will help you. So, nishchinu, nis plus chi dhatu is there. This is a fifth conjugation. Chinoti, chinutaha, chinvanti, etc. These are the forms. Basically, it's a ubhayapadi dhatu. Nis plus chi dhatu. And here, of course, it is a parasvapada. And it is imperative mood, madhyam purusha ekvachanam, nishchinu. So, may you ascertain. It's like that. It's imperative mood. And so now Vidyaranya says, well, so Vidyaranya has taken the microphone in his hand. Now he has to assist, right, to that person to understand the word maya, or sadasat vilakshanam, or mithya, or anirvachanam, etc. He says the word maya, he starts his lecture. The word maya basically used to be used by us in a common parlance. It is not an unknown concept. What we want to convey, the word is also commonly used, and the concept behind that word also is commonly used. Maya. We already have that in our common parlance, and we use them in every magic show called Indrajala. So we use the word maya, and magician is basically called Maikam, basically, or a magician. So we use this word maya for what we experience intimately, but when you probe, what disappears is maya. That's what we say. So in a common parlance, the word maya is used for what? What we experience intimately, but when you probe, which disappears is called maya. Right? And that is used for magic, etc., everything. So experience wise, we see it, but on inquiry, it disappears. And therefore, we call it sadasat vilakshanam. Since we experience, it is existent. But on inquiry, it disappears, means become asat. And therefore, well, basically, we say it is sadasat vilakshanam. You cannot say it is existent. If it is existent, experientially also it should be there. On inquiry also it should be there. Then it is existent entity. If it is a non-existent, then well, you will not have experience at all of a non-existent thing. And then further inquiry, etc. is not at all required. And therefore, maya is something which is not existent, because on inquiry it disappears. Therefore, I cannot call it as a sat. And I cannot call it a sat because I am experiencing also. And therefore, I cannot call it a sat. I cannot call it sat. Therefore, I am saying it is Sat Asat Vilakshana. It is distinct from Sat and Asat. So he says, Loka Prasiddha Mayayaha Lakshanam. Lakshanam, definition. There is a definition for the word Maya. Loka Prasiddham, used by a common man. Loka Prasiddha Maya means well-known Maya. In the word, well, basically, Indrajalam, magic, etc., etc. That for magic also use the word Maya. So whatever the definition we use for magic, right? Tadikshata, may you apply here also. What you apply there for a magic show, for a magician, or for its so-called skill, etc. You say that is a Maya. Well, same concept you bring it here. Then you will say, well, I understand that, right? Then you will say, I understand. So tadikshatam, may you apply here, may you apply the meaning of the word Maya of a common parlance here. That's what it says. Tadikshatam, may you apply here. So well, and that is good. So you should never go to a magician and ask for the method of his magic. You know why? Once you know that method, magic is no more a magic. Therefore, for Jnani it is not a magic, right? For others it may be magic. For Jnani it is not a magic. For Jnani everything is Brahman because he knows. And so there is no more magic for him, basically. And therefore then he basically, in the case of a well, that in the show, magic show, etc., if you know that skill, etc., you won't be able to enjoy magic. So anyway, so an inquiry magic basically loses its own status. And therefore, tadikshata means may you apply what we have a concept regarding Maya in a common parlance, may the same concept you apply here. So then you will understand. Then he says, how to apply? How to apply? That's on Monday. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.